What if I told you there exists an ancient map, not of lands or oceans, but of what comes after? A guide whispered through generations, etched into the scrolls of mystics, monks, and seekers of lost knowledge. A sacred manuscript that claims to chart the journey of the soul after death. They say it holds the power to free us from the endless cycle of rebirth, to prepare us not with fear but with understanding. It is not a myth. It is not fiction. It is known as the Bardo Thodol, or more famously, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. But is this so-called map of the afterlife real, or merely a symbolic tale? Tonight we travel beyond the veil to uncover what the ancients believed happens the moment your heart stops beating. And perhaps we may discover that death is not the end, but a passage. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is no ordinary text. It was not written for the curious. It was composed for the dying, passed down through oral tradition, then transcribed by Tibetan lamas in the 8th century. The Bardo Thodol was meant to be read aloud at the deathbed, guiding the soul through the bardo, the mysterious in-between state, between this life and the next. Its name means liberation through hearing in the intermediate state. But where did it come from? Its roots lie deep within Tantric Buddhism, where death is not a final event but a sacred transition, an opportunity for enlightenment. The Bardo Thodol describes 3 stages after death, each filled with visions, tests, and temptations, and what's most shocking, it claims these visions aren't external. They come from your own mind. What you see, what you fear, what you cling to, is what you meet in the Bardo. It is a map not of heaven or hell, but of consciousness itself. According to the Bardo Thodol, the soul passes through 3 bardos, 3 realms or stages, each lasting up to 49 days. And in each, your fate is forged. The first bardo, the moment of death. It begins the instant your breath leaves your body. There is stillness, silence, and then a blinding light. This is not the light of the sun, it is the primordial light, the true nature of your own mind. Pure, radiant, infinite. But most do not recognize it. They panic. They cling to life. They recoil from the brilliance, and when the opportunity slips away, miss it. And you descend into the second bardo. The second bardo, the realm of illusions. Here your consciousness creates visions, deities of light, terrifying demons. Peaceful and wrathful figures emerge, not to judge you but to reflect you. If you see them as illusions, you awaken. If you fear them, you fall deeper. Everything here is symbolic, a mirror of your karma, your attachments, your fears. You are not being punished, you are being shown. The third bardo, the pull of rebirth. By now, the soul has become restless, confused, drawn to familiar patterns. Visions of people, of places, of parents forming. You are drawn to a womb, not by logic, but by karma. And unless you awaken, you are born again into another cycle, another lesson. So, is the Bardo Thodol a literal guide to the afterlife? Or is it a symbolic journey, a psychological map of the soul unraveling itself? Some mystics say the bardos are real dimensions experienced by the soul after death, as vivid and consequential as waking life. But others see them as metaphors. They argue the bardos mirror what we go through every day. Moments of fear, surrender, clarity, ego death. Each transition in life a rehearsal for the final transition. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, was fascinated by the Book of the Dead. He saw it not as superstition but as an ancient manual of inner transformation. In fact, The idea that your mind shapes your afterlife, that your attachments bind you, that awareness leads to liberation. It aligns with modern neuroscience, trauma healing, even lucid dreaming. So maybe the Bardos are not just what happens when you die. Maybe they're also happening right now, every time you lose something and change paths, or awaken to something deeper. You may not be on your deathbed, but the truth is, we pass through Bardos all the time. The end of a relationship, the collapse of an identity, the moment your world changes and there's no going back. Each is a kind of death. Each is a doorway. The Tibetan masters weren't just preparing us for the afterlife, they were teaching us how to live with awareness, with courage, with detachment from illusion, and connection to what is real. Because the chains that bind you, they're not forged from iron, they're made of thought, of fear, of forgetting who you are. And the light, that radiant light you'll see in the first Bardo, it's already here. It always was. The real question is, will you recognize it when it comes? Or better yet, can you recognize it now? Because to awaken after death is rare, but to awaken while still alive, that is the path of the mystic. You've just glimpsed a map the ancients believed could free the soul. But knowledge alone is not liberation. It's what you do with it that awakens the path. If this journey stirred something within you, a question, a memory, a spark, don't let it fade. Subscribe to SoulLore, where ancient truth meets the modern seeker. And remember, this life is a Bardo. Walk it with awareness. We'll meet again between the pages of forgotten wisdom.